What level are you?
Is this in the PhD?
Yeah.
So we're both in our second year of
Out of 4.
4 years.
Yeah.
So 2 out of 4.
2 out
Yeah.
of 4.
Yeah.
Well, just starting 2 out of 4.
Yeah.
And last year I did a very theoretical analysis of what are the big normative theories that are out there. And this year I focus on empirics, and I'm going to talk to banks. And kind of this year my real research starts, which is really exciting.
Okay, so what you said it's really exciting. What is your real research?
My project is on the social responsibility of banks. This year I study banks in Europe, so I'm going to visit quite a few banks. Those banks that call themselves socially responsible, those very tiny niche sector banks in Europe, as well as the big systemically important banks, and assess the extent to which they see themselves as socially responsible, and the mechanisms they develop to ensure they live up to the standards they formulated for themselves. And kind of the normative questions come later. And kind of
Okay, so when you say social responsibility of banks, so this is my stuff, not yours, but it's like, can a pure capitalistic organization have social responsibility? And sometimes yes, sometimes no. And what does social responsibility?
What does it mean?
Yeah, what are you studying when you say social responsibility of a bank?
Well, initially I look at the standards they apply to themselves. So they signed up to loads of treaties, codes of conduct, equator principles. So on their website they have a list of, let's say, 50 codes they sign up with, and based on which they formulate their social responsibilities. So the question of do these entities have a social responsibility, they answer it themselves on their website saying we do.
So they set up their own criteria in a way?
They set up their own criteria.
Yeah, and then they try to honor that criteria.
The extent to which they honor the criteria is something I study.
Yeah. Okay. So you hold them accountable, or your studies are looking
I just want to better understand how they hold themselves accountable, and how these external mechanisms, rating agencies, based on which criteria they evaluate the banks, which I believe are very different criteria than the banks set themselves. So kind of how it's this whole new development of private regulations, and private actors in a transnational world regulate themselves, and how then does that work if kind of the state pulls out?
Whoa, that's heavy. Okay, so in my experience, in my little knowledge about how the American economic system works, when Reagan stepped in, a lot of deregulation was thrown out. Regulation that came in the Great Depression. Yeah. So
because the market was going to solve it, but did it, and kind of now you have all these reports on destructive consequences of free market capitalism, and that led, in financial crisis, at least in Europe, led to questions of like, hey banks, you do have a social role here, although we privatized you. And now we're looking for this. What does that indeed? That's the stage that we're in. Is like, what does this mean? How then? What is your responsibility? So that's my project.
So do you know of some banks that are really working hard to be socially responsible?
Yeah.
If that's a deep set value in them?
Yeah, I do. I'm very familiar with the banks in the Netherlands. There are a few banks of which kind of that are very niche, small banks, of which their pillar number one is being sustainable, being honoring, kind of operating to serve social justice and environmental sustainability. While for other banks, I believe it's more of an add-on, but not necessarily. So yeah, I do see progress when it comes to banks developing in let's say, the good direction. But it's not clear. Banks don't have to be transparent about anything what they actually do, and kind of based on which indicators do they really assess their investments or their loans.
Do they let you research them, all the banks, or how do you do this?
that's the big question of this year.
Okay, that's part of.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm starting this year in the Netherlands to just talk to people, and from there I build it up, and I'm gonna see where I will or will not get access.
So you referred a little bit ago about networking. So that's part of what you're doing, is trying to build a relationship with people inside of a bank in order to gain trust, so you can not investigate, but research this.
Yeah, but because I don't necessarily have a normative bias against these banks or so. I sincerely
So
want
you're
to
open-minded?
understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to understand whether these mechanisms work.
You're not coming in pointing a finger.
No,
you're
not at
coming
all.
in being open to hearing who they are and how they are trying
how
to
they see themselves,
work-
how
yeah.
they're trying to do this.
Yeah.
That's why you're a better researcher than me.
That's a good segue.
Yeah.
So Ollie, what did you mean by
Well, let's say I go into my project with quite a normative bias.
with quite a normative, you said?
I think at least I come into the project with a very strong normative position. So what I study is what I refer to as fragmentation for individuals in the legal order of the European Union. And so I'm looking at what the consequences for citizens' rights are, and also citizenship itself, when you have a member state of the European Union opting out of a particular area of law, or deciding to withdraw from the legal order completely. So I suppose, let's say I come from, say, Brexit, from a position of this is a bad thing for citizens. I want to understand, how bad is it? Try to explain why I think it's bad and think about potential solutions to that.
So when you're working on your PhD with that, you're in conversation and researching with who? Who do you talk with about this?
So yeah, I think there's a difference in how we approach our projects. That my method will be more engaging with sources, engaging with the treaties of the European Union, and then looking at for the reasons why member states derogate from laws at certain points, and trying to understand that, and a lot of engagement with the work of other academics, building on their theories, building on their findings in conversation with them.
So what I think I'm hearing you say is that you're looking at the structures that exist and that used to exist, especially with the UK, and so you're researching how that's impacting the UK as well as the whole European Union.
And
what does it mean to be a European?
And the impact it will have for citizens, and the impact it has for citizenship, the value of European citizenship. Why do we have this legal order which is spread out beyond states to the whole of Europe? So yeah, it's engaging with very theoretical questions, I suppose, but rooted in real events that have happened, such as this referendum vote, the UK deciding to leave.
So, are you going to be talking with individuals within the European Union who are trying to help sort all of that out, and also in the UK?
It's something I haven't really decided yet. I think on an informal basis, I'd really like to be in conversation with these people. There's a British diplomat who drafted the withdrawal clause from the treaties.
Okay.
Which is, it gets a bit technical, legal.
That's interesting. So you know of this person?
I know, again, it's the network connections.
Right,
There's a friend of mine who's in contact with him, and I'd love to talk to him and say, when you drafted this.
What the heck happened?
Yeah, exactly.
What were you thinking?
I already know that he said he never thought anyone would use it. So that in itself says something about the purpose of the law. Why was this law created? And now it's actually being triggered. What are the consequences going to be, institutional level, individual level?
So isn't that a kind of a theme that people didn't really think it was going to happen, but they went ahead and wrote this up, or somehow?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what Cameron. Is that correct? My understanding. He kind of thought, well, I owe these people something, and so I should say yes to them about this issue, and he didn't think it would happen.
There's some very interesting things about David Cameron, and the fact this pledge, the manifesto pledge to hold a referendum, he was willing to drop that if he didn't get a majority. So he thought he had to enter into a coalition, and he'd say, this referendum promise, I can drop that. But then he won the election, and he had to follow through with it.
Right.
So it's the issue of national politics trying to gain favour has had this really seismic impact on the European level. So it's a question of responsibility again, in a way. It's the responsibility of political actors, I suppose.
So I'm in kind of awe about sorting all of this out, and I'm very grateful to have met you, and that you are doing the hard work of sorting it out, because this isn't about finding simple answers. It's about building relationships and trying to
grasp really difficult questions.
grasp the difficult questions.
A very
That's
deep
right.
level, and that's why I
Right.
think it has to be a 4-year project to get such a deep level of understanding.
Yeah.
I've alluded to it being like crafting a work of art for 4 years, because it's something that requires kind of this dedication every day.
It's a work of art. It's beautiful. It kind of gets into the philosophy of this whole piece. It's not just right or wrong. It's about what needs to emerge out of this struggle.
Yeah, and it's good, I think, for us even being interviewed like this, trying to explain what we do, it's very important that we can convey to people exactly what we're doing in a simple way that people understand, because it is a lot of difficult things you have to try and understand for yourself, but being able to other people to understand that is so important as well. And eventually when we write a book, this is what we hope to be able to do.
So are you writing? Are you going to be writing together? Is this an?
No, it's kind of at the institute.
Right.
Let's say 100 people start at the same time. We all go through the same process. Nobody writes the same book. So we're all somehow on our own little island, doing our own little projects, little big projects, while we go through the same stages. So you get a lot of support from people going through the same thing, because PhDs are very lonely projects. So that really helps, but still you do your own thing, you write your own book, you have your own project.
And are you in conversation though with others about this? So you get kind of like tested or stretched or challenged, and
It's kind of that's our university. It's almost becoming a PR talk for our university. But the university is
I
fantastic.
want to get back into the university.
Come to the
Well,
UI.
That'd be just amazing. Yeah,
Well,
that's what I can do in my
It really
sabbatical.
is. It's a hub. It's a European hub.
It's amazing.
There's some money to fly in. Great people. There are conferences every week.
There's just so much dialogue, there's so much conversation, informally and formally. You've got professors who've been doing this for decades coming, presenting their work, giving feedback on your work. It's a really fantastic work.
Wow, what an environment
Yeah.
of excitement and creativity and learning. Yeah. So thank you so much. This is really fun. I hope it's been helpful to you. It's been really inspiring for me
I'm very happy to hear that.
to
Hear what people are doing.
yeah.
And of course, sometimes you need to get away from it, and that's why we're here in Cinque Terre
Yeah,
for a weekend
yeah.
to relax and
Taking a
just
break here.
re-find ourselves.
Yeah. Well, blessings on all of this journey.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your work. I mean, I believe from a philosophical standpoint, I believe that it's like if we can shift a molecule here or there, it does have some kind of impact later on. And
That's what we hope.
that's what you're doing, is that you're having this tough conversation in your work, and somewhere along the way it will affect somebody, something.
That's what we hope to
That's
achieve.
Yeah.
the goal.
Yeah, I mean that we can't change the world, but we
No,
can change
exactly.
those little moments that we are with
Exactly.
others. Thank you so much.
Thank you.